Hello everyone, this is Manoj. Welcome back. In today's video, we will try to create a CRUD operation application using .NET Core Web API. And in this video, we will use entity framework. And with the entity framework approach, we will use code first approach. Means we will create our model classes, and based on our models, we will create our database. All right. And we will also use Swagger. So we don't need to install Postman and to give request response body everything. All right, so we will use inbuilt Swagger application. So let's quickly create a new project. So for this video I'm using Visual Studio 2022. You can use any Visual Studio version with support .NET Core Web API. So I will create a new project, and from the template we will use ASP.NET Core Web API. So I have created multiple API projects, so it will give me a direct access, or you can say direct link. So just click on it and click on next, and let's give a name, let's say CRUD operations in .NET Core. Click on next. So uncheck this configure for HTTP and click on create. So it will create our brand new .NET Core Web API project where we will see our default file and folder structure, whatever we get from the .NET framework. So you can see the project has been created, and you see the solution explorer. So these are the default file and folders. So if I expand the controllers, we get weather forecast controller. This is a inbuilt, or you can say the default controller. We have app settings.json, we have program.cs, and this is a default page. Let's close it. And if I try to run it, so it will open our Swagger feature on our browser. So I'm using my Chrome browser as a default browser, so it will open the content on our Chrome. So as you can see on your screen, so this is localhost 5140 slash swagger index.html. So this is our base URL. And as we enabled the Swagger, which is inbuilt feature of .NET Core Web API 6.0, so by default, we'll get this weather forecast get API. If you expand it, click on this, try it out and execute. So it will give us some default values. All right. So let's go back to Visual Studio and open this weather forecast controller. So here we have an action method. If you see this weather forecast, and we have this get method. All right. So based on this logic, it is giving us some data. You can see this is an complete object, and let's open the properties. So we have launch settings.json, and this file is responsible which feature or which controller, which method you want to render on our initial load. As you can see, the launch URL Swagger, and this is our base URL as I already shown you. If I again go back to browser, this is our port 5140 5140. So let's close both of them, and now stop the project. First of all, let's add a folder where we will keep our classes. So give it a name models, and inside this model, let's add one more class, and let's open, yeah. So here I'm using a name as brand. So inside this brand, we'll have some properties. So to create a property, just type prop and hit tab. It will create your property details. So you don't need to write a complete line. Again, prop, and this will be a string type, and I'm giving name, and again prop string, let's say category, and prop is active. Save, and let's make them nullable. So if we don't pass, no need to worry, it will automatically put a null for this particular property. save. Now right click on your project, and now we need to add some packages. So manage NuGet packages. First one is Microsoft Entity Framework Core. So we need to install this. It is searching, and make sure we'll install the latest and stable version. So the first one, click on it, and you see the latest and stable version 7.0.1. Click on install. So it will install this package. Click on accept, and let's wait for some time. So it will be installed. Yeah, and the second package is Microsoft.frameworkcore.tools. So let's copy, go back to browser, paste, install it, accept, and the last package is frameworkcore.SQL Server. Now let's try to install that SQL Server package. Install. I accept. Yeah, that is installed. So now we have installed all our packages, SQL Server, tools, and ASP.NET Core Entity Framework. Let's close this. Now, inside our models folder, we'll create our DB context class. So right click on this model, click on add class, and give it a name like brand context. You can give any meaningful name which will suit you. And we will inherit this with DB context class. For that, we need to add one namespace, which is Microsoft Entity Framework.co. So you can simply hit control dot, it will display all the namespaces, whatever is there in this project. So inside this, we need to create a constructor. To create a constructor, you simply type CTOR and then hit tab. It will create a constructor. You can see the class name and then this method name is both are same. This is not a method. This is a constructor. And here we will use our DB context options class. So DB context options, and here we need to pass our class name, which is brand context, and let me give it a name like object options, and this will be inherited base options. Now we need to create a DB set or of our brand context. So DB set brand. Okay, let's make it public. So we are done with our DB context class. So we just added one constructor and we pass DB context options, and in that we pass our brand context. All right. So now next step is open your app settings.json. Here we need to add our connection string. So simply type connection string, and in that object we need to pass our connection string name. So I'm using brand CS. You can use any meaningful name. And inside this, the first property is server, that we will copy from our SQL Server. Let's open SQL also. And the second property is database. So again, it's up to you. You can give any meaningful name. I'm giving brand DB, and I will use Windows authentication. So no need to give any. username and password. As you can see, Windows authentication. So let's copy the server name and click on connect. So here, give this server name, and now we need to pass integrated security true, and we also give multiple result set property as true. So multiple result sets, actually this is multiple active result sets equal true. Save. So our connection string is ready. Now we have created our context class. So in ASP.NET Core we have built with dependency injection. So now we need to register our database context in the built-in IOC container. So let's open our program.cs file, and inside this we will give our brand context. So here simply use builder object, builder dot services dot add db context, and in this context we will pass our brand context class. So brand context, and use any alias, so options, and here we will pass options dot use SQL Server, and inside this create any name. So I'm using builder dot configuration dot get connection string, and inside this connection string we need to, not here, we need to give our connection string name, which you will get from app settings.json. So this one, so copy this name, copy and paste it here, save. So our database context registration is ready. Let's try to build this. So build has started. Yeah, build succeeded. So here we will create the database using the entity framework core migration feature. So let's click on this tools from the file menu, and you get package manager console. So let me maximize it a little bit. So here we need to give a command add migration space initial. So this command generates code to create the initial database schema, which will be based on the model whatever we gave in our brand context class. So build started, build succeeded. So now if you again go back to Solution Explorer, so you see we have got one new migration folder. So if you open your migration, let me close this window. See, so it will create a brands table. See, this is the script which will be responsible to create our table in our database. All right. So it will create brand with these fields, ID, name, category, as active. All right. So this is what we got when we run the add migration class. Again, open your package manager console. So now we need to give a command like update database, hit enter. So it will generate some dummy data in our table. All right. So build, as you can see, I think something is wrong with this. My mistake. Save. Let's run this command again. So as you can see, a connection was successfully established with the server, but then an error occurred during the login process. So I intentionally wanted to show you this error because this is a common error. So for that, we need to pass one property, which is trust server certificate is equal to true. So now save this, and again, let's run the same command. So update database. So now this will run successfully. You can see the database is already up to date. Perfect. Now let's open our SQL Server and refresh our databases. Let's open it. So we hopefully see our database, and the database name is brand DB. Okay. So it will take some moment. Perfect. You can see the brand DB is there. Let me open this one. I hope we will see the table as well, brands, and also we'll get one more table with this migration. So it will take some time. Perfect. So this is our table. Let me open the data. Perfect. As you can see, ID, name, category is active, all fields are there. So our database is ready. Now let's go back to our project and let's add one more controller. So add controller and click on API and API empty, add. Let me give it a name, brand controller. Click on add. Perfect. Now we need to add our DB context class over here. So inside this class, private read only brand context, DB context, and let's create a constructor. So again, CTOR, hit tab, and inside this constructor, so underscore DB context is equal to DB context. Perfect. Save. Now we will create our CRUD operations like HTTP GET, HTTP POST, PUT, delete. All right. So the first one is HTTP GET, as the IntelliSense is suggesting. So hit tab. So public async task and action result, and this will be a list. So I'll use I enumerable, and inside this we will use our brand class. So brand, and let's say give it a name, get brands, and if underscore db context dot brands equal null, means if there is no record in our database of this brands class, then we'll return no, not found. Perfect. Otherwise we'll return await underscore db context dot brands dot toList async. Done. So we are done with our get method. Save. Now let's try to add another method for get by ID for a particular movie. So here we need to change something, and first of all get brand let's say get brand only, and in the parameter we'll pass ID. So based on this ID we will fetch our brand from the database. So the first is, if there is no brand, we'll return not found, otherwise we'll return a brand. So let's say where brand is equal to underscore db context dot brands dot find async, and here we'll pass our ID. Now we'll check this brand. If this brand is equal null, then again we'll return not found, else we'll return this brand. This is not enumerable, so we need to delete this because this is a single brand. Save. So we are done with our particular record with a single brand. Perfect. So both get and get by ID both are ready. Now we will try to add our post method. So here http post, and we'll add again public async task action result brand post brand, and this will take our brand class object. So brand, and here db context dot brands dot add the object of our brand class, which we are getting from the front end. It could be your React.js, it could be your AngularJS, or it could be your MVC. And await db context dot save changes async, and now we will return our single movie. All right, so return created at action name of. So here we'll pass our get brand method, which we already created for a particular, this brand. So here id is equal to brand dot id and brand. So okay, perfect. So what it will do, this request you will pass from the front end. Based on this it will go to our db context class, and through the logic of this add method it will save the brand details in our database, and after that it will return the same brand to the front end, all right, with the id. Save. So our post method is also ready. So let's try to run this first. So add and get, we will test. So control shift b, just try to build it, just to check if any error is there or not. Perfect. Now run it. Oh, my mistake. Here we need to pass a object of id. So in the get we will pass id. So now rebuild and run. Perfect. Get, post, get. So let's try to add any brand. So click on try it out. So this is our request, so we don't need to pass any ID. So I'm giving, let's say, name Apple iPhone, and categories, let's say mobile phones, and is active is 1. Click on execute. So now it is taking time to add the data in our database. So just wait for a moment. Perfect. You can see 201 ID this Apple iPhone mobile. Perfect. Now if I go back to SQL Server and if I execute this script, you see name Apple iPhone, category mobile iPhone 1. Perfect. So our post request is working as expected. Let's quickly add one more Samsung phone. Execute. Done. So this is our individual request which we get by the response. So again execute the same command. So we have two records in our database. Perfect. So now try to test this one. This is to return all the data from our table. So just click on try it out, click on execute. So you see we have an array of two objects, one for Apple, one for Samsung. Perfect. Now let's collapse this, open now get by ID, try it out. So if I pass ID 1, execute. Perfect. It is giving the first object with the name Apple iPhone. If I change the ID and if I execute, perfect. It is giving the number 2, which is Samsung iPhone. If you see here also, this is the second row. Perfect. So all APIs running. Let me close this. Go back to Visual Studio again. And let me do control mo. It will auto collapse all your functions. So now we'll try to create the put API which is responsible to update a particular or existing brand. All right, so the HTTP verb should be HTTP put. So again public async task action result, and let's say the name is API put brand. So here we have two things. First, we need to pass the ID of a particular brand, which we need to update. And second, the details, whatever we want to make change in the database. All right. So the first parameter is ID and second one is brand. Okay. Now here, if this ID, whatever you are passing from the database is not equal brand.id, then we'll say return bad request. Both should be identical, and if this is not the case, then underscore db context, then we'll set our state of a particular entity is modified. So here we'll pass our brand object dot state is equal to entity state dot modified, means we are going to update our database the particular record. Now let's use try catch. Await underscore db context dot save changes, and in the catch block we'll use db update concurrency exception, and in our case if not here, let's create a new method just to check our brand whether it is available in the database or not. So let's make it private brand available, and it will take ID, and it will return underscore db context dot brands dot any x dot id equal id dot get value or default. So basically this will tell us that whatever ID we are passing is available in our database or not. Okay, so now we will use this one here. So if is not brand available with the ID whatever we are passing from the front end, I'm talking about this ID, then return not found, else throw the same exception. And after this catch, return OK, means our operation is successful. So let's save this now. So we have created our get all, get by ID, we have created our post, we have created our put. So now the last API method which is pending is delete. All right, so http delete. So here again we need to pass the same ID in the parameter. So let's copy this from here and paste it, and again public async task action result, and let's give it a name like delete brand, and it will take ID parameter from the front end. Again, if underscore db context dot brands equal null, then return not found, and if this is not the case, then we'll try to find the particular brand. So where brand is equal to underscore db context dot brands dot find async, and pass the ID. Again check this brand which we are getting from this command. So if brand is not equal null, if equal null, then return not found, else underscore db context dot brands dot remove, pass this brand here, db context dot save changes, and finally return OK, save. So we are done with our delete method also. So all our APIs are done. So let's build the project again and see if any error exception is there. Perfect, no failed, everything is up to date. Just start our application and we'll try our put and brand this delete both the APIs on the Swagger. So our Swagger has been loaded. But before testing this put and delete API, I wanted to show you something. So I'm trying or I'm planning to create a complete full stack project using .NET Core API, Swagger, code first approach, and the front end will be in React. So this is the application. It's a kind of e-commerce portal. So it will have each and everything. It will have a dynamic menu. From the admin panel, you can create your categories and then subcategories and then products. You can also add distributors and then we can also assign permissions. Like this distributor will have this much access of, let's say there are 100 categories, but you want to assign a distributor one only 10, so you can do that from your admin panel. And we'll also have a reporting in that project, so dealer wise you can say category, subcategory, product. And you can also export the same report in Excel format, and we will have a provision to change the status of your payments. Now we have admin module and we also have distributor module, so they will log in from their panel and they can view all the products, they can check the quantity, they can see the image price, and they can add products in the cart and they can place their order. And we'll also try to create one dummy payment gateway in our project. And the third module is a front-end e-commerce portal for end users. So whatever product admin or distributor will add, they will be visible on our front-end e-commerce portal, and anyone can go there and register themselves on our portal and they can search category, subcategory, all the products they can add and they can place the order. All right. So I'm planning to create this complete full stack application, but I want your opinion. All right. Whether you want me to create this or not. So I request all of you who are watching this video, so please give your comment in the comment box. All right. Now let's go back to our browser. So here, so let's open this put API. So in our database, we have two records. So let's try to update the first one, or let's say second one. So try it out and give ID 2 because we have two ID of Samsung phone. So here I'm changing it Samsung curved monitor, and category is, let's say, monitors, or let's say gaming monitor, and active one. Click on execute. So it says bad request. We forgot to pass the same ID over here. So we need to pass this also. Execute. So you can see we got 200 access, which means the success. Let's go back to Visual SQL Server and execute. So you can see the details has been changed. Samsung Curve monitor, gaming monitor. So our put API is also working. Perfect. Now let's try to test our delete API. So let me give, let's say ID 2. Once again, I'm executing this. So we have two rows. Perfect. Execute. 200. Done. That second row with the ID2 has been deleted. Perfect. So all our APIs are working. So this is about today's video, but I have one request, or you can say I have one announcement. So if you are working on your final year project, or you are working in a company in a internship based or in a regular based, and you are facing any problem regarding .NET, React.js, SQL Server, jQuery, Ajax, HTML, CSS. All right. So I do these kind of paid services. So if you're looking for these kind of services, so please contact me. You can contact me on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is open programmer, and you can also find my email on my channel description. So this is about today's video. I hope you like this video. If you did so, hit the like button, share, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.